Okay, Mishlei, Chaf Aleph Tezvav, 21:15. Simcha, there we go. Simcha letzadik asos mishpat, umechita lefole aven. You want to try?
It's a joy or
Yeah,
celebration.
joy is good.
For the tzadik, doing of justice.
Yep.
And a destruction for the workers of it.
Okay, good. So doing the doing of justice is a joy for the tzaddik, and a, what did we say Mechita was? Destruction for the doers of iniquity. Okay, yeah. So what? Yeah, very epic, right? Yeah. So translation wise, this is pretty simple, right? So we got ציון who says Mechita is Inyan Shever. So I also would have translated it as destruction, but we'll add in breaking in case the particular, thing is relevant there. I think also Mechita, unless I'm mixing it up, can also be ruin, which may just be synonymous with destruction. Okay, I don't know. Let's do this. Let's look at all Torah, just to see what their dictionary says. What was that? Oh yeah, nice. What do you say?
He was thanking me for a little donation I gave. He was asking me what I used it for when I wanted to add.
Oh, nice. Such a good guy. Yeah. Okay, where are we at? 21:15. Thank you. Mechita. Mechita is terror. Oh, like chita salukim. Terror, destruction, or ruin. What was that? Yeah. But we did not have terror. So let's do. So that really is a completely different translation, right? So destruction, breaking, and ruin are all in one category, and then terror, I think it would be in another one. Okay, Sadia Gaon says, so that's what we get from ציון. Okay, Sadia Gaon says, Kamosh sameach hatzadik ba'asiyas hamishpat kach misratzitzim bo pole haven. That's interesting. I only think the only ratzitzim I know is the twins, right?
Yeah.
With what you call it, with Rivka, right? What's the pasuk or the phrase? Yeah, right. So it's like to grapple, right? Yeah. So just as some sort of contest. Just as the tzadik rejoices in the doing of justice, so do the doers of iniquity struggle or grapple. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Okay, then we have the Targum, which I think is a straight translation. Chedvasa de tzadika lemebadina, v'shatzia leilein de avdin asa. So it is a joy for the tzaddik to do din, which I think this is pshat, by the way. The asos mishpat means to like enact justice. I don't think it means to like do righteousness. Like this is like lasos mishpat. So
what do you mean?
Meaning to like execute a judgment of some sort, like a punishment or a reward to a guilty or innocent party. But yeah, so that's why he's saying lemeba dina. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's just a translation. Yeah, I think so. All right, our scroll. Performance of justice is a joy to the righteous and destruction to the workers of iniquity. Okay, I guess they're trying to be sensitive to the word poel here. Poel is such a weird word to translate, right? It's like, yeah, I don't know. I also don't know if there's a difference in the biblical poel versus like the rabbinic. Let's just see here. Poel le'avin. To do or to make. Yeah. Because I think like hasocher as a poelim, like that kind of poel, like a worker. I think that's a rabbinic usage. I don't think biblical Hebrew has that. So I think it's like to do or to make. So I don't know what to make of this workers of iniquity. Living Now says, when justice is done, it is a joy for the righteous. Okay, that's an interesting thing, right? this raises a question, but for workers of iniquity, it is ruin. Altar says a joy to the righteous, the doing of justice, but disaster to the wrongdoers. Again, disaster is a nice one also.
Wait, so Sion is taking a very, he's reading it not that simple, that the justice, he's reading it that does not apply to the second half. But the way that we were originally doing it is there's like one action that's applying to two different people.
Yeah.
He's reading it as two different actions to two different people.
Right? Yes, correct. Yeah. So let's do that as our first question here. Okay, which is what is the predicate? What is the predicate in the second half? Is that what the way to say it? Meaning, is it saying that is simcha qualifying what?
Even the subject.
I mean the predicate, right? It is a joy. The doing of justice is a joy to the tzadik, and the destruction of the doers of iniquity is a joy to the tzadik. That would be the one way to read it. That's what you're saying, right? That it is a joy. Two things are a joy to the tzaddik: the doing of justice and the destruction to the doers of iniquity. Is that what you're saying, or you're saying something different?
I might have misunderstood the way we were saying. I thought it was the doing of justice is a destruction, breaking, ruin for those who do it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Those who are doers of iniquity.
Okay. Yeah, that's how I was reading it. I thought you were coming with a new new
that's
shot.
okay.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, all right, fine. You know, just gotta get some that one is empty. You know what's good?
What?
Tylenol. My legs have been so sore from the dancing, but
Oh, yeah?
I Tylenol this morning and I can walk.
Nice. I ain't been like broken. I went to his bed yesterday and he was like, you can barely move. I actually have a little bit in my leg, but I'm really not too bad. My
That's
back-
good. Oh yeah. Okay, so
That's good.
yeah. Okay. Wait, so how are we asking this here? So maybe the easier way actually is to have two ways of reading of translating the pasuk. So you hold on. Say what you said again.
Saigon is the second way.
Yeah, Sadigon is the second way, right? Okay, fine. All right, Sadigon is the second way. Yeah, right, fine. Okay. So we don't need to ask this as a separate question then. Okay, fine. No, yeah.
As long as we keep it on the table.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The hard part about Sadigon is where he gets this misrotasim from. I mean, plain shot is it sounds like he's translating mechita, right? Because he doesn't translate mechita in any other way. It's just weird. I don't know where he gets that from. I've never heard of misrotates. Actually, we should do that also. We should look up misrotates. Ratzat. Let's see. This is the one we were quoting. Crush. Interesting. Crush, oppress, be crushed, broken. Yeah, so that's probably where he gets it from. Last one is the children crush one another within her. Yeah. Misrotatimbo. So maybe a better way to translate this. So are the doers of iniquity crushed. Right. That makes it closer to the actual pasuk. Yeah. But he is doing the analogy thing, right?
But it sounds like it's not. Once if the doers of iniquity are crushed, then it sounds like the only action that's happening is the doing of justice.
Right. Yeah. I think that makes it simpler.
Okay, so that's not really an alternative.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was also. Yeah. Yeah.
Just whatever mechita means, is that implying a psychological results in the
Yeah.
polyheaven, or is that like a practical?
Right.
Physical?
So let's ask that. What is mechita in this context? Is this a psychological experience? That's how Sadigon seems to say it, right? Experience or a like physical reality? Yeah.
If it's physical, it's contrasting with the first step a little bit.
If it's physical, see, I would say if it's psychological, it's contrasting the first. It's a cleaner opposite if you say it's if it's psychological, right? Yeah. Okay. So then we should also ask the basic question here: what is asiyas mishpat in this context? Yeah.
What is it? Pole oven?
Yeah,
Does that mean someone just has to bear?
oil oven. Is it just someone who does an avera? Is it a personality type? Yeah, makes it sound like it's just the action, right? It doesn't sound like if it were a Russia, say a Russia. This is putting the emphasis on the action. Literally, it's just saying a doer or yeah. Also, what is oven? I'm going to put that in here because I think it's easier to take it as one question. Yeah. Okay.
Especially in the second half.
Yeah.
Is this a one-time thing, or is the whatever the person is doing, is it a one-time thing, or is it like a systematic thing?
Right. So what? How many instances are necessary? How many instances of pulas oven are necessary for the second half to apply? Yeah.
If mechita means physically, I can kind of understand that because that would imply like he's guilty innocently, so he's gonna have to pay up.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's psychological, why exactly is he so distraught?
Yeah, that's good. I'm trying to think if I can incorporate that into this question or not. Yeah, I think it's implicit in the question, but that's a clear way to say it. So we also need to know what is the nature of the tzadik's simcha in the STS mishpat.
Does that just mean why is he?
Yeah. Well, no, it's a little bit more than why is he. It's also like, what is the simcha? Like, is it he gets pleasure out of it? Is it like he, is it like just basic thing? Is it a micro simcha, like he just gets a feeling of happiness, or is it like in life the thing that makes him happy with capital H is like the doing of justice, or somewhere in between? Yeah.
Why is he?
Yeah, why is he happy? Okay, I'll add that here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm getting hung up on this and just the reading of the pasuk.
Yeah.
But I am now reading it over again, and I am seeing it more in the simcha being the thing that goes on both sides. In the just like simcha, the tzadik will find simcha in asiyah and mishpat.
Yeah.
And the polyol will find simcha in the mechita.
All right. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought you were saying. Okay.
I am reading it like that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna put that as a separate translation here. Okay. So, wait. Sorry. So you are putting the simcha into the.
Yeah. So simcha to the tzadik is asiyah mishpat, and it is destruction or whatever you're gonna translate that to polyol.
And simcha is destruction.
Yeah.
To yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Simcha is then the next three words to one thing, and then the other three words to the other thing.
Joy to the tzaddik is the doing of justice, and joy to the and joy to the doers of iniquity is ruin. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
I
I think it's the cleanest way to translate it that way. Yeah. Okay, good.
It just seems like it's a smoother read to me also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like it'd be very okay. I got two layers of Mishlei intuition here.
Okay.
So the first layer is that these lead to two different ideas.
Yeah.
But then then my second layer of intuition is that it'll end up in the same place. So we'll see. I have no idea if that's true. We'll see if it plays out because it sounds like two different ideas. Yeah. Okay. Is that it? Oh, you know what? We can actually ask this question. About the first half. Likewise, the first half. I think it's a stronger question on the second half. Yeah.
Is the tzaddik the one doing the spell, or
Yes. Okay. Good.
Executive guy, or is he just watching?
Yeah. Okay. So, who is the tzaddik? The tzaddik, the doer, or is he happy regardless of who the doer is?
Another question.
Yeah, just one second. I think we can ask this for the second one also, right? Likewise for the second half. likewise for the second half. Yeah.
Yeah, just insofar as what we're talking about tzadik and polyalvin, it seems like we're pinning them as opposites.
Oh, yes,
So
right.
it's not like tzadik and Rashad. This is
Yeah.
just how do we understand what is it tzadik and what is
Okay,
it
good.
polyalvin?
Yeah. So I think that question can be asked in a broad way, and that's one expression, which is, so what is the relationship between the two halves? Specifically, how / are the, I don't know, / okay, the tzadik and pole oven opposites. Also, how / are asiyas mishpat and mechit and pole oven opposite mechita. Well, that's an interesting thing, right? It could be that asos mishpat is the opposite of pole oven, but then you lack a subject in the in that case. So yeah, I don't know. It is weird though, right? Doing justice and doing iniquity seem like, if I just told you that those two are opposites without context, you'd believe me. But in the pasuk, it sounds like, yeah. So what do we say? Asos mishpat and sorry, simcha and mechita also are candidates, right? Yeah. Alternatively, let's put alternatively. How are, and that would be like, again, like Sadigo, I'm taking it as like emotional, psychological things. Simcha and mechita, opposites. Alternatively, how are, what do we say? Asos mishpat and pole alvin opposites.
Yeah.
Asos mishpat and ulas oven opposites. Yeah. Okay. I feel like these are the questions. I mean, we have our other question, which is, yeah, our what?
Sweeper question.
Sweeper question. That's a good term for it. Yeah. Who's the audience of this pasuk? We had a kind of a breakthrough in this last night. Not a breakthrough, but just a good way to say it, which I'm going to mention here just for methodology purposes. So in our Monday Night Mishlei here, we've been doing a lot of pasukim about tzadik and Russia. And so, we always ask the question, who's the audience? Because Mishlei does not need to say this to the tzadik generally, because he's already doing this. And he does need to say it to the Russia, because the Russia is not going to listen. So usually we've been taking the approach that it is talking to someone who is like on the road to becoming a tzadik or on the road to becoming a Russia, or it could go either way. So Rבינו Yona said, and you don't need to know the pasuk in order to have this. He said, the pasuk just said something about the Russia being destroyed. And so Rבינו Yona said that the audience of this pasuk is someone who is envious of the success and the kavod that the Russia gets. And it's telling him not to be envious because he's going to get destroyed. So to me, that opened up like a thing of like, there are many people who could be described as like being like as potential Rishaim or being on en route to becoming a Russia, and same thing with the tzaddik. But there are different roads or different paths on that journey. So like one guy might be inclined to become a Russia because he envies their success. Another guy might do it because he has a certain, he has a hatred for being told what to do. So he's not inclined to be a tzaddik in that case. So like there's different routes. So within the audience, you could have, even if we said the general audience is someone who could become a tzaddik or a Russia, there are specific people within that audience. I don't know if that's a chiddush or not, but yeah. So I'm going to say who's the specific audience of this pasuk. And then the practical application here seems to be like promotion of asiyas mishpat and deterring pole oven, but I'll say it anyway as the practical application. Okay, so let us figure this out. Hold on, let me just close this and zoom out. Okay, so what do we say here? I'm going to actually put this in brackets because Oh yeah, no, it was, whatever. I fine. It wasn't in brackets because it's like secondary, but. I mean, is it fair to say that the simplest read is that when justice is being done, regardless of who's doing it, then the tzadik rejoices, and the polei oven, who are going to be the target of that enactment of justice, they are in fear, and they are destroyed. Meaning, like, let's say you have a let's say you have a new what do you call it? Like someone who's elected who's like tough on crime, like a new mayor or whatever, and and he's going around and like cracking down on crime. So that's going to make the tzaddik happy, and the people who are doing the crime, because of so one of two things or both things are going to happen. They're now going to be destroyed, and they're going to be afraid of that destruction. To me, that seems to be the simplest read. That's the good question, but I'm saying just to read the pasuk, not the idea. Yeah.
Would that apply to any full oven? Actually, maybe we should ask this, what does oven exactly imply?
Yeah.
In any case?
Right.
Like
right. So oven's tough, right? Because let's look at all Torah. I think oven just means crookedness, or wait, where are we? Oven. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, we did this before. Yeah, trouble, sorrow, or wickedness. Yeah, like Ben-Oni, like Binyamin, or relate to Onain, means Onain. Trouble, sorrow, or okay, idolatry. I don't think it means here. Trouble, and so in other words, the wickedness is a borrowed expression from the trouble. I think trouble is the main thing. Yeah, trouble worker. Yeah. So, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so it seems to be broader than just averos, right? It seems to be like any sort of mischievous activity.
I guess I was just curious. Do you think there's some types of wickedness that are not going to be judged differently?
Oh, correct. Right. So if I had to like make a like posit specific character to this iniquity, I would say it's being on l'chavero.
Right.
Yeah. So what would be the chiddush if you read it the simple way that I'm reading it? Well, here's the interesting thing is there, like, if this is focusing on the psychological, then it's interesting that there will part. So usually Mishlei would focus on the actual consequences that happen to a person who does injustice. Here it's saying that by living the life of the polei oven, and I'm saying by living the life because that's where my intuition is taking me. It's not just like one or two instances, but if you, let's say like you join a gang or whatever, you will always have the specter of this type of fear hovering over you, because you're always, insofar as you're involved in injustice, then there's always going to be a threat that you're going to get caught and punished. So you are kind of committing yourself to having that be a thing that's always present and always hovering over you, and that's going to be a source of fear, and a real threat. But the tzaddik never has to worry about that, and the tzaddik is always going to have the what do you call a positive specter? A Casper, friendly ghost. He's always going to have like the it's not exactly equal, but like the tzaddik is always going to have this additional source of joy that comes not even from doing his own activities, but like whenever good is done, he rejoices. And it's interesting because, so in other words, and the tzadik lacks this fear, and the Russia doesn't have that happiness. Like the Russia cannot be happy. Like again, let's take the case of like the like in local government or whatever, when you have like a new regime that comes to town, and like the mayor is like I'm saying the mayor because I don't know who's actually in charge of these things, right? Just whatever, I don't know, whoever, right? District attorney, whatever it is, and is like cracking down on crime. So there's going to be the fear that the doers of iniquity are going to get caught. But then the thing is like this: is let's say that society is getting itself together, and the city is like shaping up its act. The Russia has to know, the Pole Oven has to know that if this upward trend continues, it's only going to be bad for him. Like the more functional a society is, then like the worse it's going to be for people who are trying to do actions that are wrecking the society. It's like he can't be happy about like the progress of his society, even, because ultimately that's gonna lead to him like getting these consequences. So it's like, just like the tzaddik can always be happy about the mishpat progress of the society, and he doesn't have to worry about the fear of himself like getting prosecuted. But the Russia always has to be in fear of getting prosecuted, and he's living a life where like the better the society is doing, the worse it's going to be for him. The worse it doesn't bode well for him. So to me, the subject of the pasuk and the chiddush of the pasuk is the psychological perks and costs of the life of tzidkus and the life of Aven. That's something that people don't take into account. They take into account the Russia wants to get into this for the profit that he's going to reap from, or the Pole Oven wants to get into it for the profit he's going to reap from his crime, but does not think about the fact that he's like stapling himself to to like perpetual fear and fear of ruin. And again, I think it's easier to think about in a closed small system than it is in a big system. That like, let me think of an example that is more relatable.
I have an example.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is so in terms of like electric vehicles, like electric vehicles are like definitively like better for the environment, and so it's like it would be like good for us as a society to move towards that.
Right.
But for like oil and gas companies, it's like it would be like very harmful for them.
Right. Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah, because it like completely like destroys like their business.
Right.
So so that means that they have strong incentives to prevent like the switch to electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're actually doing that, I'm not.
Right. That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, that's a good example. Yeah, there's a documentary that came out in, I think, the early 2000s, and this is like obviously way before Elon Musk, called "Who Killed the Electric Car?" And I never saw the documentary. Apparently, it was a good documentary, but I always assumed that they're the ones who killed the electric car. And in terms of and the funny thing is like, generally speaking, the better things are for like the more improvements that technology gives to the society with the fewer costs, then the better it ends up being for everyone. It's just that those the losses in the short term are why they fear this. It's a short term way of looking at it. All right, should we? Yeah, you want to do?
I've been trying to work on reading it in this.
Sure. Second way, yeah.
I have nothing to do for the second half, not much for the first half.
Okay.
In that the doers of iniquity enjoy seeing ruin.
Yeah.
That people that are like that, they just enjoy watching things burn, even if it's not going to actually give any benefit to them themselves.
Yeah.
So, particularly someone who's like trying to work with someone who is a doer of iniquity, that they should keep in mind that things in the long run, that this person is not even necessarily going to try to do things that are best for themselves in the long run. Same way maybe a Rasha will try to like scheme things in a larger way. Better.
Yeah.
But they're just like that type of person just is looking to like just see other people fail and like just see bad things happen to other people.
Yeah.
That they're going to take joy in that. So be very cautious in your every step there.
Right.
What they're going to try to be getting.
Yeah. So that's a good thought. So just to give an example of that, is that like if you are, let's say you're a real Russia, okay, and I don't think the pasuk was talking about the Russia because the Russia actually has a plan, right? So let's say you're a Russia. Chances are you are going to employ Pole Oven to bring about your plan, right? The difference though between the Russia and the Pole Oven is that the Pole Oven is going to take joy in just destruction and injustice per se, which once they let loose that part of their personality, it's going to spill over into other areas. You know, they might like let's say like go in and like, I don't know, like do extra acts of vandalism, you know, that that have nothing to do with your plan, and that might actually like screw up your plan, you know. Or let's say you are a Pole Oven and you go in with a certain plan to get a certain like a certain concrete benefit of an act of oven, but you could easily get caught up in that fantasy and enjoyment of just, you know, wreaking havoc, and that could like expose you to additional things. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so then as you mentioned, the question is, what about the first half?
The first half I think is pretty, like, I don't know, but then the thing is that the first half is like a little too straightforward.
Right.
Obviously the tzadik enjoy seeing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So what would the first half be teaching us? And I'm not, but methodologically, there is a case where there are pasukim where the chiddush only lies in one half, and that the first half is just a setup for the second half. I don't feel comfortable saying this for here because I don't think you would need, based on the idea as we've developed it now, you wouldn't need to talk about the tzaddik's joy in doing mishpat in order to get this idea.
The most stuff is also just a different frameworks where the doer of iniquity is looking for like he's just like someone who's looking to get like certain satisfaction.
Yeah.
And that's a framework he's working in. And that tzadik is working in a different framework where joy comes about through a very different process.
Yeah.
It doesn't flip smoothly.
Right.
In that way.
Yeah. Yeah. The tzaddik's joy does not seem to be connected to anything any, you know, tangible, concrete, particular benefits he's getting out of it.
It's nothing small or quick. It's
Right.
larger, grander thing.
Yeah. I'm inclined to think, by the way, that according to this reading, I think it makes more sense to say that it is talking about when the tzaddik himself does justice, right? Just it's a closer opposite.
Okay.
I mean, it is okay. I'm going to say something, and I don't, which I don't like, but maybe it'll lead to something I do like. That we're saying for the second half, basically, that if the Pole Oven were purely practical, so then you would not have you wouldn't be in danger of it spreading and making him do unnecessary acts of mechita, right? But because he has a joy in the act of mechita, so then that can get things out of hand. That can lead to getting out of hand. Okay, so that's the second half. So there's a similar like spreading nature of the tzaddik's asos mishpat, which is that when he becomes involved in doing justice, because he's a tzaddik and he cares about the systems that he's involved in, and he gets joy out of improving those systems. So then it'll spread to doing other things also. Like a tzaddik will go in and with the aim of fixing one particular thing, but then inevitably, because he's looking at things in a systems perspective, he'll see other areas that could use improvement, and he will work to improve those areas, and it'll spread, and he'll end up doing a whole lot more good than he initially like went in to do, you know? And so it is an exact opposite there. And, you know, and he gets, you know, and again, it's fueled by two things. It's fueled by his values, but also the experience of nothing, no dopamine hits like doing justice, like improving things for everyone. The only thing I don't like about it is I'm being very loose with the justice, because I started off by saying mishpat means like the enactment of a sentence, basically. Like, because I was going by the Rambam's definition of justice in the Moreh Nevuchim 353, 354. I don't know what it is. I forgot which one it is. But so like I'm using more in the sense of righteousness, like rehabilitating systems. Do you see what I mean though in terms of like how it spreads with the tzadik?
Yeah, you got me thinking about something. I need another purpose.
Yeah, sure. And let's just follow this through. What would be the practical, now that we have both sides or something working for both sides, what would be the audience and the practical application here? I mean, it is interesting. Like, maybe it's just because of the examples we've been talking about. Then I think, like, I feel like one audience of this is the employer of a pole oven versus a tzadik. You bring someone who's a pole oven on board, thinking that you're going to use them for a certain purpose, and it's going to spiral out of control due to the momentum generated by their joy that they find in destruction. You bring a tzadik on board, and it will just improve everything on multiple levels, even if you only hire them for one thing. Like the best example, what the best example of this is? The Eshes Chayil. Whereas the Eshes Chayil, has her own like primary responsibilities as like the homemaker, right? But you see from Eshes Chayil, she does a whole lot of other stuff. Like she's investing in real estate, and she's like has a business going for like making belts, and she is a vintner, and she has she helps her husband's reputation. All of these benefits emerge from the fact that she's a woman of justice. Yeah.
Okay, this might be like a slightly different way of understanding the pasuk.
Sure.
Than something you've just been saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so same with what you were saying about this word joy, which seems to be more of like an emotional putting someone in either direction.
Yeah.
So possibly the pasuk is talking to someone who's in the middle and maybe going down either direction. That was like also what you were saying before. So maybe going either direction. So for someone who knows that they could go in either way, to set themselves up where they will take joy in things that are like justice and not take joy in things that are going to be of ruin.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so for someone to set up for themselves like small little things that are not say necessarily like grand schemes of ruin.
Yeah.
But to find themselves taking joy in things that are just,
Mm-hmm.
so that they will make themselves down the
That's good.
Tzadik versus
Right.
who would like find emotional things in destruction, they'll end up going down.
That's a good. That's a good application for the audience.
Particularly where the emotions are going to overrun someone.
Right. That's good. That's a very Sefer Chinuch type approach of like conditioning yourself to do good actions and to not do bad actions because of the addictive nature of actions. Like if you can put yourself in a situation where you're going to associate joy from doing justice, you'll be led to do more acts of justice. And if you expose yourself to a situation where you're getting enjoyment out of doing oven, then you're going to be fueling that, that source, that is a source of joy. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I didn't quite catch what David said.
Oh, David said that it is since the tzadi gets joy out of doing mishpat, and since the pole oven gets joy out of doing mechita, then someone who is on the road to, who's not yet at either of those stages, like he should notice in himself this phenomenon, and like when he does mishpat and gets joy, he should like fuel that and feed that and look for more opportunities to get joy out of doing mishpat, which will put him more on that road to being a tzaddik. And if he notices in himself doing oven and getting a joy out of doing mechita, right? Well, wait, I lost the way we're reading it. How's the mechita fit in the way we're reading it? Is it saying ruin? Is it?
He is a doer. Yeah, those who are doers of iniquity enjoy the ruin. So
enjoy the ruin, right? So you're right. So if you find yourself enjoying ruin and destruction, then you have to realize that might be a source of addiction to acts of iniquity and will lead you further down that path. So you should
Set up for yourself.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That was a good shot. Okay, let's in the last few minutes, let's just look at the Metzudas David, the other David, and then we can come back to this tomorrow. Oh, I already opened this. Why is Norton coming up? Okay, whoa. Metzudas David here. Simcha. Tzadik yismach be'es yaseh mishpat. So the tzadik rejoices at the time when he does justice. V'asiyas hamechita he simcha l'pol ha'avin, and the doing of ruin is a joy to the pol ha'avin. So that's the way that's number 2, right? So your idea fits in to this Metzuda. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's do someone else now. Let's do Rבינו Yona. Rבינו Yona says, Simcha l'tzadik asos mishpat. It was just a long one. Yeah, okay. So we'll probably just read it today and then figure it out tomorrow. Hine chova alinu lavod es Hashem b'simcha. Okay, well, he's really going broad here. It is an obligation upon us to serve Hashem with simcha. This is very Rבינו Yona, right? He loves serving Hashem. Yeah, it's true. Kasher kasuv, as it is written, because you did not serve Hashem, your God, in joy and in gladness of heart. By the way, side question on that pasuk that I've always it's always bothered me about that pasuk. That pasuk is in the Tochacha, right? Yeah. You know, it's so weird that the pasuk that talks about serving Hashem with joy in the Chumash is in the context of onesh and failing. Like you would think that there'd be a pasuk in Chumash like there is in Tehillim, Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha, expressing it as a positive. It's just weird. And this is, I think, the pasuk that says that avodas Hashem is b'simcha in the Chumash. Yeah.
This Meiri talks about this.
Ooh, yeah.
And I think he says that the implication of that is that it's trying to say it's like the basic obligation is to serve from the simcha.
It's like a threshold, right? That's interesting. Okay, that's a good shot. That's a good answer to the question. Yeah. Okay, that's good. V'nemar. He quotes the pasuk I quoted. Ivdos Hashem simcha. Okay. Yeah. V'hatzadik yismach kasher zulaso ovdim es Hashem u'misrachim aven v'osim mishpat. Okay, so the tzadik rejoices when someone else serves Hashem, and umarchikim aven, and when other people distance iniquity v'osim mishpat and do justice. Okay, so this is the tzadik like being the passive, enjoyer of this thing, not him being the actor. That's a paraphrase of Koheles. That's why it's weird. The meat of the tzaddik is to, I think this is, I don't know what lehe'aneach is. I know anach is to groan. I don't know what lehe'anach, to groan if the poor is oppressed and if there's theft and injustice in the society, and to rejoice when the people do mishpat and pursue righteousness and truth. The midah of simcha, his order halev, his pashit haruach al mitzo chavtzo. The midah of simcha is when the heart is aroused and the spirit spreads. Is his pashit. His pashit either means to spread out or to be unclothed. I think to spread out makes more sense here. Expansiveness of the spirit when it finds its desire. V'hu yoser min hagila, and it's greater than gila, than gladness. V'ham mesos, and I'm running out of synonyms for joy, right? And some delight. Yeah, good. Okay. Kasher yochichu haksuvim, like the psukim indicate. Okay, there's your ordering there, right? Simcha. Well, he doesn't say how gila and mesos join. Okay. Umachita l'poel ha'avin, asos mishpat, the doing of justice. Yira v'fachad l'poel ha'avin. So he takes the terror translation. Ki b'ra'osam sheyishpetu be'ir al gezel ha'chamas, when they see that they're enacting justice in the city about theft and violence. or robbery, yaru lanafsham, they'll be afraid for their souls minachamas asher b'kafeim, about the crimes that they've done. V'hinei milvad onshem al aven v'chamas asher b'yadam ye'anshu al sinas hamishpat. Aside from being punished for the actual acts that they've done, they will be punished for the hatred of mishpat, asher sana'u, asher bacharo, which they've hated and which they've chosen. Ki lo yochichu ba'ir, v'lo yishbatu al kol avon va'amel. They will not be rebuked in the city or judged on every iniquity and wrongdoing. They'll be punished on their bechira in addition to being punished on their action. Okay, we'll have to analyze this tomorrow. Let's just do a quick summary here. So we had my interpretation, which kind of overlapped a little bit at the end of the Rבינו Yona there, that there is the tzadik. Most pasukim in Mishlei focus on the benefits and consequences of the actions. Here it's saying that there's a psychological baseline enjoyment that the tzaddik will get from the life of tzidkus, just because whenever anyone is doing justice, he'll be happy, and he doesn't have to worry about this terror of injustice because he didn't do any injustice. Whereas the polei aven, in addition to the consequences they get from their action, are going to live in fear of getting punished, and they can't rejoice in the improvement of the society, because the more the society improves, then the more they're going to be in danger of getting caught and apprehended. So that's the psychological benefits and detriments of these two lifestyles. Then there's the David's interpretation, which is that it's talking about like basically that you should align yourself. In order to become a tzaddik, you should align yourself with the joy that you get from doing mishpat, and that will feed itself and fuel itself, and it'll be a virtuous cycle, literally. And then with the polei aven, you should be wary of the fact that there is a separate joy in doing ruin that could cause you to go further down on the path of being a rasha. And then I had a separate application of that thing, which is that if you are employing a tzaddik or a rasha, then you should know that you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck from the tzadik, and you're going to get a lot more like destruction bang for your buck from the rasha, because it's going to spiral out of control because he's addicted to the pleasure of ruin. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Good pasuk. So we'll bleed netter continue tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah.